Look at that, you guys. That is some tight roots. Wow, talk about root bound. It was begging to be repotted. Welcome back to Green by Carlos. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Carlos, and today we are going to talk about Colacasias, also known as elephant ears. And so it's this beautiful outdoor plant, and I can't wait to tell you guys a little more about it. Before we get started, I have one favor to ask from you. Please make sure to hit the subscribe button below, and if you're enjoying the content, share it with somebody that you love, that you also know loves this plant as much as you do, because remember, sharing is caring and knowledge is power. So why not show somebody that you care and then give them a little more power. So now let's jump right in. We're going to talk about these Colacasias. Colacasias are commonly found outside. People use them for the gardening decorations, and really what that tells me is that these are pretty hardy plants. If they can live and thrive outside where all of the elements are wild, it can be easier to control them indoors. So as I do this, I'm gonna also repot this. I just bought this at nursery that I was actually on a road trip from Michigan. I'd gone to see a friend, and on my way back I decided to make a quick little pit stop at a garden center, and this is what I picked up. And so, wow, look at these roots. Look at how root bound this is. This is crazy. I did not realize it was so root bound. I wanted to break it up into 3 different sections. First, we're going to talk about the soil. Then we're going to talk about the light requirements, and then we're going to talk about the watering, how much watering we should have. Let's just go ahead and break this up because this is tight. I almost just want to stop here and take a picture. Like, this is wild. Look at that, you guys. That is some tight roots. Wow, talk about root bound. It was begging to be repotted, so I'm glad we're getting to that today. But you know, this is one thing that I love about roots, is even if they are contained to their space, they'll continue growing. And look at this, all of this growth is just being contained in this little container. And I bet you it is so excited to continue to grow even more and expand into its new home. And with this, we are going to cause a little bit of root damage. We're going to try to minimize it as much as possible. But then what's going to happen in the end is we're going to help this bad boy grow. It's going to grow into its new beautiful home and expand its roots. I kind of wish I would have gotten a bigger pot now. And then once I break up the bottom and loosen up some of these main roots that you can see are the main big roots over here, I just want to make sure that once these ones get into their new home, that they continue to expand out into the new soil and not just limit themselves by their previous constraints. Alright, so we'll give this one last little shake, and I think this will be ready to go into its new pot. And so, let me get this out of the way and clean up just a little bit. Okay, so now let's get back into it. Alright, so now that we have loosened up the roots a little bit, you can see how big the roots are on this. It has some really strong roots and it's ready to be potted. And so I actually bought a 6-inch little plastic pot that I will then put into a decorative planter to pot this in. All honestly, you could probably go up a little bigger than this, just given how big this root ball is. I didn't realize how big it is, but at this point, that's the planter that I have. So we're gonna go with it. And so we're gonna get into our 3 different things that I wanted to cover with this plant, starting with the soil. Our garden plants, they do like to stay a little bit moist, as most soil in the garden does, and so really you can use anything that you would just use your typical garden soil, your typical potting soil that you see that can be used for indoors or outdoors. What I'm using here is the Happy Frog. It's just a natural soil that is just your average. If you want to use a more common brand that you can find at Home Depot or Lowe's, feel free to use that as well. This is just always recommended to me in my local plant store, and I've been using it ever since and found a lot of success with it. And so that's what I have right here in this bowl of soil. So let's put an initial base of soil here at the bottom. I'm going to put about 2 inches of soil. And then we can begin to just slowly lower these roots in here. And what I like to do is I want the roots to be separated, and especially with this one that has such long roots, I'm gonna start putting some soil in before I even set the plant down. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start sprinkling soil in there so that there is some soil separating the roots at the bottom from the roots further up. This is just to further prevent the roots to continue to curl up and instead just expand into their new home. And this will help them grow big and beautiful. And these plants really can get pretty big. And so this one right here is probably about 2.5, 3 feet tall, and it'll likely grow bigger than this. It's probably gonna grow, no, this winter time it's not gonna grow as much, but next spring I would expect it to grow another 6 inches to a foot tall, and then hopefully we'll see some new beautiful leaves. But really this plant is known for having these beautiful heart-shaped leaves that are super dramatic, and if there's one thing I love, it is dramatic plants, because I think they make such beautiful statement pieces in the apartment. And so let's just continue to fill this up with soil. And now that I got soil in all of the crevices, and I got the roots to break up, and I got the soil to really encourage further root growth, I'm just gonna top it off, leaving about a full inch between the bottom of the soil and the top of my planter. Now that we've covered soil, I want to get into the second part, which is going to be light. Remember, these are outdoor plants. They can take direct sunlight, but you do risk them getting sunburned on their beautiful foliage. For ideal lighting situations, keep them in high indirect sunlight. So if you're gonna have them in front of a window, make sure there's something covering the direct sunlight, whether that is a very light drape or something over your window, or if you have direct sunlight coming from your window, go ahead and place it right next to the window so that it's not getting direct sunlight, but that it's still in a very bright area. For me, that I have my windows right over here, I actually have it over in this corner where it doesn't get direct sunlight, but it is very bright. And so it's gonna get a lot of light, but it's gonna be indirect. So once again, this requires high indirect sunlight. It'll do fine in medium sunlight. I would avoid putting this in low sunlight. For the last part that I wanted to cover before we're done talking about this beautiful plant, it's gonna be the watering. So from a watering perspective, these do like to have moist soil. So I would recommend that you only let about the first ½ inch, which for me is gonna be right above my first knuckle, in between my first and my second knuckle, to get dry. Once you dig your finger in there a little bit and you feel the top being dry, go ahead and give it a good watering. Water all the way through so that you can see water coming out of the drainage holes. And again, just like any plant, drainage holes are so important. So make sure that you are using a planter with drainage holes. And then for me personally, I love having decorative pots, but for all of my decorative pots, I use plastic pots, which I then put inside decorative. And this also allows me to change up the different pots that I use. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna have to find something that's a little bigger for this one. I think the one I originally got was a little small. I can show you guys, but I'm glad I didn't go with a smaller plastic planter because he needed something a little bigger. So I was hoping to put him in something like this, but I knew as soon as I bought this it was gonna be too big, but I also knew that it couldn't go any smaller with this. So again, just to summarize really quickly what we have covered today, from a soil perspective, just use your typical potting soil that you find at your local hardware or garden store. From the watering perspective, water all the way through until you see water coming out, and let the first ½ inch dry. These like moist soil. from the lighting perspective, these can take a little bit of direct light, but you're always exposing them to the possibility of sunburns. So for best results, use high and direct light. And so that's all for this plant. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now before you go, I have one little surprise for you guys. Dracaenias are one of my favorite plants, and if you guys follow me on Instagram or have seen some of my other videos, you know that I love Dracaenias and that I recently pruned one of the original Dracaenias that I got probably about 4 years ago. And what I have right here is the pruned Dracaenia. So this is the top that I cut off, and I took off a lot of the leaves so that I can have some exposed area for the roots to grow. And I just wanted to show you guys a little update. So I think it's been about a month since I pruned this, probably closer to 3 weeks actually, possibly a full month. And I just wanted to show you guys these beautiful roots. Look at this. These are such beautiful roots, and I am so excited to see this coming in. I will put this back in the water. I'll probably stay there for another 3 weeks or so until the roots are a little bigger so that it can really sustain in soil. And I can show you guys what it will look like afterwards. This is one that I had pruned from this one right here. This is the mother plant. This is the pruned one. And you can see now that it's growing well in its potted soil, and I cannot wait to do the same with this one. So again, you guys, thank you so much for joining today. I hope you had fun. I know that I did. I hope this encourages you to go buy a Colocasia plant and add it to your collection, because I have had this for about a couple weeks now, and I'm so happy that I got it. So thank you much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit like and make sure to subscribe. Until next time.